From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2127, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, August 8th, 2018. We begin this week with a report from California, where officials were tallying up the damage from one of California's most devastating wildfires.
By August 1st, the Carr Fire consumed Shasta County, taking with it more than 1,000 homes and at least 8 lives at last count. As shelters opened and the Red Cross sought out communications help, hams with the Shasta Tehama Amateur Radio Emergency Services, assisted by hams from Sacramento Aries, stepped in. One of them was Gary Sanda, KI6OMU. He deployed to help what was being called the Carr Fire, the largest of the 17 blazes to have hit the state.
As the fire grew, from one shelter to 2 shelters to, maybe 5 now, 6. One of the places people were sheltering was at a casino. It's got to be 40 miles away.
The hams were busy providing communications between shelter managers and the Red Cross as needed, since cell phone service remained largely intact.
We're using WinLink packet.
As Newsline went to production, the fire had swept over more than 112,000 acres, and hams were continuing to work their shifts, sometimes for days. Gary said that any hams wanting to provide assistance can get details by visiting the state's Communications Reserve Unit website at acscalifornia.org.
Newsline's Paul Brown, WD9GCO, reporting. In other areas of ham radio disaster response, the VOIP Hurricane Net has a new Assistant Director of Operations.
Debbie Gray, WX9 VOR, has been a part of the operation since 2016 when she joined the VOIP Hurricane Net as a net control operator. Not long after coming on board, her skills were put to the test during the historic Atlantic hurricane season in 2017 when she worked numerous extended net control shifts and also managed to recruit additional net controls, newcomers, and veterans during Hurricane Irma's and Marina. Debbie fills the vacancy left after Jim Sellers in UAM became a silent key in May. Debbie's background makes her ideally suited for the job. She has had more than 2 decades experience as an IT consultant, educator, and mission critical support specialist, work that got her involved in disaster planning. She is also emergency coordinator for the Aries group of Kane County, Illinois, and a volunteer sergeant for the Naplesville, Illinois EMA communication and weather units. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Bobby Best, WX4 ALA.
Young hams from the Dave Coulter Youth DX Adventure have some numbers to share from their log.
If you were among the lucky ones to work PJ2Y, the Dave Coulter Youth DX Adventure in Curacao, you're one of 6,261 contacts in the team's log, according to the team's website. As you can imagine, it was a busy time for the 4 youngsters and 4 adults with them. They often didn't get on the air until 10 in the morning and usually operated until about midnight. Team leader Jim Storms, AB8YK, reports that one of their major challenges was a power loss that cost them about 8 hours on the air, but the rest of the time they were busy operating on SSB and CW. They also made an effort to get their FT8 station on the air as much as possible. Congratulations to Violetta Latham, KM4ATT of Greencastle, Pennsylvania, 13-year-old Dhruv Reba, KC9ZJX of Normal, Illinois, 14-year-old David Samu, VE7DZO of Prince George, British Columbia, and 15-year-old Mason Matrazo, KM4SII of Clemens, North Carolina. The D-Expedition went off the air on July 23rd, and if you're waiting for your QSL card, be patient. One is expected to be designed and sent soon. Meanwhile, the team's log is now available on Logbook of the World and Club Log. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
A reminder, we will honor youth and amateur radio on Saturday, August 18th at the Huntsville, Alabama Hamfest with our Young Ham of the Year Award. If you can't be there in person, you can catch the live stream at WD5KUB.com. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Bobby Best, WX4ALA, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.